Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you need a website, head over to squarespace.com/Paul Messner for a free trial. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the differences between cheap and expensive camping gear and some of the things that you might want to consider when buying gear for your next trip. So you might have noticed that there's been quite a surge in people buying camping gear and outdoor gear here in the UK. A lot of people have had to ditch their overseas holidays and they're having to try some of the more traditional UK style holidays such as caravanning and camping. But when it comes to buying equipment for the outdoors, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes finding out which gear is best for you. Just because something's more expensive, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. Take a look at this sit pad, for example. This costs around £2 and it's just a bit of dense foam that creates a dry insulating layer between you and whatever it is you're sitting on. And this is another sit pad. However, this one costs around £14 and it basically does exactly the same as this one. The only real difference with this one is a foil kind of coating and it's got a Thermarest logo on it. These sit pads are very simple bits of kit and they're made with very similar bits of material, and in my opinion they don't really require any sort of technical performance, so spending £14 for this one, you're not really getting a great deal extra than you are with this one at only £2. On this occasion you're not getting much more for your money other than a logo. So let's pick on Thermarest again, shall we? This is the Neoware X-Lite sleeping pad and it costs around £140. And this is another sleeping pad, this time by Trekology, and this costs around £40, so it's around 30% cheaper than the Neoware from Thermarest. So why would you spend all that extra money and get the Thermarest? So both of these pads are inflatable, which means you're going to get a very comfortable night's sleep, and they're both made of some kind of nylon or polyurethane, something like that. But that is actually where the similarities end. So the Thermarest has actually got loads of technology that's built inside the sleeping pad itself. It's got some kind of triangular core matrix, whatever one of those is, and it's got some kind of reflective thermocapture layer inside which traps warm air, and it also reduces heat loss to the ground. So this gives the Thermarest pad what's known as an R value of 4.2, which means that you can comfortably sleep on the ground to around -6 degrees Celsius. The Trekology, however, let me get it. I'm wrecking the joint. Yeah, so this pad has literally just got air pockets in here and no insulation whatsoever. So if you were to use this pad at around -6 degrees, you're going to have a very uncomfortable night's sleep and you're going to be feeling the cold from the ground and losing a load of heat through conduction. In my opinion, a sleeping pad is probably one of those things that it's worth spending the extra money for if you want something that's going to give you a certified warmth rating. You could always boost the insulation value of the cheaper pad by putting something like a large version of a closed-cell foam mat underneath it. If you want a bit more information on sleeping pads and how to boost the ratings, you might want to watch this video up here. It's a similar story when it comes to other camping gear. There are a few things that you might want to consider before buying equipment for your next backpacking trip. So I tend to find that you pay more for your gear if it has one of these factors. So either normally it's got better performance, it's lighter in weight, or it keeps you warmer, it packs down smaller, or it's made from stronger and more durable materials. The more of these boxes that your item ticks, the more expensive it's likely to be. But it might be that some of those criteria are not really that important to you. So something like a backpacking or camping stove is a great example of this. You can spend a shed load of money on a stove that'll boil water faster than all the others, but is that something that's really important to you? There are stoves out there that are under a tenner that'll still boil water, they'll still fry your bacon, albeit in an extra couple of minutes or so. Quick thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring the video today. Squarespace has been a massive help when it comes to running my business. So easy for someone like me just to run a professional looking website. I use the platform to generate my domain name and a business email, and setting up an e-commerce shop was a lot less complicated than I expected. The templates make everything really straightforward. Uploading photos and new products is really easy, and it's really helped when it comes to growing my business. So if you want to have a go at making a website of your own, head over to squarespace.com/Paul Messner or click the link below. You'll get a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. I've been down the road of buying all the lightweight gear, and to be honest with you, it gets to a point where you actually compromise on comfort. I must admit it's great when you haven't got a lot of weight on your back. However, when it comes to getting your head down at night after a long trek, you still need to have that level of comfort. And for me, it's about striking a good balance between a good night's sleep and not having to carry too much weight. Some of the fancy materials you might want to use, such as titanium or Dyneema, are extremely lightweight. But those materials are very difficult to work with in the manufacturing process, so that does tend to reflect on the price. If you don't need to save every gram, then you'll get some much more affordable options using heavier materials. Another reason why some brands tend to be a little bit more expensive is that they are market leaders when it comes to innovation and bringing out new materials. They invest huge amounts of money in development and testing to ensure that you get the best possible product. So these brands tend to work closely with manufacturers such as Gore-Tex or Polartec to ensure that you get a superior product. Obviously, these companies want a return on their investment, so you tend to pay a premium for the latest cutting-edge technology. It's also good to mention Cottage Vendors. These aren't companies that build cottages. They are small independent companies that tend to make custom gear that is tailored to your specific needs. Because these items are tailor-made to your requirements, there tends to be a lot of man hours going into manufacturing them. Again, you pay a premium for this, but you get that perfect bit of gear that's been designed just for you. So let's talk tents for a minute. I don't know what's happening with the tent market at the moment, but prices have gone through the roof and stock levels are virtually zero. The Hilleberg Solo, for example, a couple of years ago you could pick them up for about £560, and now they're topping out at around the £800 mark. But as fast as Hilleberg are getting them off the production line, people are just snapping them up straight away. They're selling like hotcakes, even with a price tag of £800 for a one-man tent. This kind of tent is extremely robust and durable, and I would confidently pitch it in 95% of conditions in the UK. It's not going to stop a bolt of lightning, but it has handled all of the wind and rain in some very challenging conditions for me. But in reality, do you really need to have that kind of strength and durability? If you want a tent that's going to last you 10 years and you're going to use it regularly in all conditions, then it's probably a good investment. But if you're only going to be camping once or twice a year when the sun comes out, then it's probably a little bit overkill for what you need. You'll be able to pick up a tent for under a quarter of the price that will be perfectly fine in milder conditions. But it's entirely up to you what gear you buy. Don't let anybody tell you what you should be spending your money on. There will be some things that interest you a lot more than others. For example, for me, I've never seen value in a down jacket for £200. But for some people, it's a very good investment. Whereas me, I wouldn't blink an eye in spending top dollar on the perfect tent or a comfortable sleeping system. At the end of the day, it all boils down to if your gear works for you and it falls within your budget and you're happy, that's all that matters. Let me know in the comments below if there's any areas of gear that you tend to invest a little bit more money in. And do you think camping gear is getting a little bit overpriced at the moment? I think there's one or two bits that could be a little bit cheaper. So that's all I've got for you this time. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.